Hey friends, it's so good to see you. It's been a long time. If we haven't met, my name is Marc, one of the pastors here. And if we haven't met, it's on me. I've been away. To those of us who know each other, it's been strange to be away. I've missed you all so much over the last few months. I asked Robin if I could just have a few minutes to share an update on how things are going on our family and kind of give some context to disappearing in June, kind of. Having had the last few months to rest and heal, it's given me time to process and find some insight and some answers and figure out a little bit more about what's been going on. Figure out how we got here, where we go from here. A lot of that I didn't have in June. In June, all I knew was that I wasn't doing well and I wasn't okay. As someone who burnt out 7 years earlier, I was able to see the warning signs and we were able to get a little bit ahead of it, but it was far too similar to where I had been 7 years earlier. If you've been around Lakeside for any length of time, that story won't be new to you. For years at our newcomers events, I've told the story of my burnout as a young pastor and used it as an example that we would tell at every newcomer event. We used it as an example to clarify that if you ever aren't doing well or need a break, just tell us. You don't have to push through, explain, or finish up what you started, or even find a replacement. Just listen to your body and take a break when you need to. And we wanted to make space for healing. We never wanted to sacrifice family for the sake of ministry. So I guess it was kind of timely that the last sermon that I preached in June was about Abraham and Isaac and not sacrificing your family on the altar of ministry. So when I sat down with Robin and Kevin and Jim and Dave from the board and shared with them that I wasn't doing well, they didn't flinch. They could see that I wasn't doing okay. I don't know if it was the stuttering or shaking or uncontrollable crying, but they seemed to pick up on the sense that I wasn't okay. And they immediately freed me up from my responsibilities and made room for me to heal. They were true to their words and their ethos. They truly, truly made me feel like it was okay to not be okay. And following the Sunday where I announced it to you, that I was taking time away, the cards and messages you've sent as a church have made it so clear that you really did care about us and our well-being, and more than anything we had to offer, the only thing you wanted for Trifina and I and the kids was healing and wholeness. So I first just want to say thank you. Thank you for your generous words and encouragement notes and even your Swishelle gift cards. I'm pretty sure our server, Ben, is convinced we will never pay for a meal with anything other than gift cards. There was even that one time when we got put in the booth behind Dick and Ellie Baumgartner, and they just loved us with hugs and then secretly paid our bill. And to be honest, I think we earned that one because those are the rowdiest 80-year-olds I've ever met. So having to endure their presence for that meal, they paid up. But honestly, friends, a lot of organizations talk about caring about people. It's often just talk, but you as a church community, you embodied it for us, and we're forever grateful. The last 2 months have created a lot of space to reflect and heal and fold laundry. So Steve, I'm with you. For the first time in our life, we're actually caught up in that department. But seriously though, in that time, we had a lot of space to process how we ended up here. And honestly, it's tough to summarize in a few minutes, but I'll try, and as always, I'll probably teeter on the edge of oversharing, but that's what I do with our Lakeside family, and anything else would not feel appropriate for the community that we are and all that we've been through together. So to start, you know intimately that the last few years have not been easy. We've been navigating a child who suffered a severe autistic burnout. I shared that story with you last summer as a church. I shared what it was like in our home when one of your children's nervous system is trapped in fight or flight. It'd been the hardest year of our lives, and if that wasn't enough, it also just perfectly timed paralleled with the hardest season of ministry that I've ever led through. Work that I'm glad we did, and yet it was hard nonetheless. Through that process, in order to support our child, the doctor encouraged us to prepare to live a much slower life. It was hard to imagine a slower life. We rarely went out as it was. We canceled on people regularly, and we could rarely have people over. But we continued to slow down, continued to remove demands from our life. And you as a church were amazing in all of this. The board was gracious enough to move board meetings to once a month, make room for me to be home more in the evenings. And I ran out of more than one staff meeting to help in emergencies when they arose. As spring came this year, it was clear everyone in our home was not doing well. And as we were asking, what does love require of me as a church? Tryphena and I were asking it in our own personal lives. And we realized love required us to slow down again. And we made some major changes to our life in the spring, changes we never thought we'd make. And for me, in this slowing down, there was space for me to see that the combination of the last few years of our home life and work life had caught up with me. And my nervous system was fried. I was so busy trying to keep my head above the water, I didn't realize just how not okay I was until we slowed down. Quick caveat on that. When I say the last few years of my work and personal life caught up with me, I'm not saying in any way that work was too much, or that the church expected too much, or that the church wore me out. Numerous times the church board and staff have asked me, what could we have done differently? The answer has continuously been nothing. This is not a story of a church overworking and underappreciating their pastor. That story is way too common, but it's not mine. Lakeside has been so gracious in caring for Tryphena and I through the hardest season of our life. They've sought to care for and support us over and over again. Even congregants who met with me who made the mistake of casually asking, "How are you doing, Marc?" and ended up pastoring me instead over that coffee, sitting and crying with me, showed us just how supportive this community was. I have the dream pastoral job, leading the dream pastoral team, reporting to the dream church board, and serving the most wonderful congregation. This is not a story of a pastor getting ripped apart by his abusive church. This is a story of a pastor whose demands at work, mixed with his demands at home, became too much for the way his brain is wired. In this time, I've been processing so many layers of life and work and ministry and future. And there's so many pieces to this. I tell our staff all the time, ministry is the only job in the world that I'm aware of where your professional life and then your spiritual life and your family life all get mixed together in a way that most professions don't. So as I look back on 15 years of ministry, at all the different roles that I've occupied as youth pastor and church planter, teaching pastor, and now lead pastor, I spent a lot of time processing the amount of mental, emotional, and relational capacity that full-time ministry requires of me, regardless of role. And it helped me realize that in this season, in the way that my brain is wired and with our unique home life, I realized that full-time ministry doesn't leave room for me to be the loving husband or father or man that I want to be. And bottom line, I realized if I applied the question I've preached for years, the question, what does love require of me? If I apply it to myself, the answer I've consistently come to over the last few months has been to step down as the lead pastor of Lakeside Church, and to take my position as a layperson and as a congregant of Lakeside Church, but no longer a staff member. So this week I sent my official resignation to the letter to the elders of Lakeside and sat down with the staff on Friday, and I asked to switch seats, to no longer be a full-time staff member, and instead be a congregant, part of this beautiful, beautiful body alongside all of you. Because this is my church, this is my community. I love you all so much. It's been such a great privilege to serve as your pastor, to serve this church and staff and board. And while we're deeply, deeply grieving closing the chapter as your pastor, Tri and I do look forward to being congregants with you. Thanks for letting me share today.
Lakeside family, as we together just bid farewell to Marc in his role as lead pastor, we just want to express our heartfelt gratitude for his leadership, guidance, and dedication to the community. While we're saddened to see him leave his role, we're filled with so much hope for the future. He has helped shape here for us at Lakeside. And we and myself are just so excited that he's going to still be calling Lakeside Church his home. Marc has truly left things in a strong and very positive place, and his impact is going to be felt for many years to come. And as we move forward, we trust that God will continue to guide us, and we're excited about the new opportunities that lie ahead. And together as a family, we've got this together. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is hard news. Yeah, this is hard news. And I won't even try to sum up what they've meant to us personally, but also how Marc has led Lakeside over the past 6 years, over obstacles and into new frontiers of faith and following, leading us, modeling for us the Jesus way. You continue to model the Jesus way. And we'll be grieving for some time. And grieving is good and it's healthy, and we need to do it, and we need to give ourselves space to do that. So next Sunday, September the 1st, we're going to have a service of gratitude and blessing and worship and lament. Gratitude for where we've come, and as Dave has said, the strong and solid trajectory on which Marc has set us. Gratitude for a new chapter that God is about to write for them as a family. And we get to be alongside them and cheer them on. And we can celebrate with them as their friends and even grieve our own loss. The two can hold side by side, can stand side by side. And we get to bless them in this new chapter that they're moving into. And so we invite you to send any anecdotes, stories, even funny stories, and memories of the impact that Marc and Trifina have had on your life, personally or as a church. And you can send those to lakesidechurch.ca/memories. And we're going to gather these, and we're going to share them next Sunday. And we're going to give space for Marc and Trifina to share their reflections of their time here in ministry. So please, if you can, send these in the next couple of days so that we have a chance to curate and organize them and to present them next week. And then following the gathering next week, we're going to have a potluck charcuterie all the way down the atrium. A big charcuterie board. And so I invite you to bring anything that you would put on your charcuterie board. Cheese already sliced, please. Fruit already washed. Cold meats, crackers, as ready as it could be just to put on the table so it doesn't involve a lot of volunteers. Nothing that we need a knife and fork for. No crock pots, just charcuterie. And please, no nuts or seafood. And there will be a separate gluten-free table. An esteemed friend of ours recently said, God is always making things new and making new things. And so let's hold to that hope as we move into the new thing that God is inviting us into. And immediately following this gathering, there's a letter that will go out to the partners, those who aren't here, and if you're a partner, you'll receive that letter this afternoon. I just wonder if I can invite you to stand as I bless us as we go. I chose this blessing from Paul, this benediction, specifically for this moment. Now to God, who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to Christ's power that is at work within us. To God be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Bless you, friends.